Does this go more than 19 miles an hour?
So this currently will do 5 miles an hour, but it can do up to 21.
Up to 21. So this is 1 mile an hour over an electric bike in New York State. New York City. This is cool. This is all open source.
Yes. Every last bit of it.
Now, is this going to be able to get you over the stuff that you were talking? Remember, we were talking about how you couldn't get over a curb and you couldn't get over a lot of stuff and get around.
Well, like I said, that's what's driving this. It's also what's driving that.
That looks like it would go through snow.
It does.
That's crazy. So when you have those parking lots in upstate and you're not able to get around.
In front of Jeff, and maybe get Jeff to move that thing that's in front of him. So.
Okay. When you were talking the last time I saw you and you were talking about real mobility and actually getting outside your house, you meant it.
Yeah.
This is an obstacle course.
The whole demonstration is set up incorrectly because we don't have enough space until we get the chair put together. But
this is sick.
This chair will go all the way over.
This is insane. I love what you've done, man.
Right on.
Freaking awesome. You actually give a shit about people being able to get out of their house and live life.
Yeah.
Can we set this up properly for you?
Yeah, we'd have to drag it out this way. Don't freak out. It'll be fine. That's a wheelchair. Can you tell I'm a farm boy? Isn't that amazing?
This is what happens when you don't have a Medicaid bean counter choosing what people get, but the person who's using it is the person who's making it. And you can tell the difference.
Yes.
When somebody who's actually passionate about people having freedom, like you, works on something, you get this. When you have a bean counter working on it, you don't get the same thing.
Absolutely.
You were talking about the shocks and how this is not going to be able to get you anywhere, and how those shocks. This looks a little bit more advanced than what I had last time you were here.
You wanna point that at the back of the chair?
Yeah, let's see what.
Again, at 5:20.
Holy! Can you go back up so I can show the spring? Because it would be great to compare that to what you had last time around. Compare this to the spring that was on that wheelchair that you were pointing out. Remember the one that you were pointing out? You're saying this is just there for show. This is like a toy spring.
That does happen, yes.
But like it was like this much. It's already compressed.
Yeah.
That's a real spring.
That's an air spring.
It's
air right. It's already on the market. You can buy it on Amazon.
Okay, be honest. I'll cut it out of the video. How fast can this thing go?
This one does 5.
5 mile?
Yeah. But we can tweak it to do 20. 21.
This is awesome.
And eventually we are going to put rockets up.
He's serious. So tell me about this. This looks a little bit more advanced.
This is not ours yet. Ours is still being manufactured. We're having our prototype sent away to be built. That should happen by the end of March. And then we'll have our own. So now we're scavenging electronics and seating systems with the chassis. If you walk over there, where they're putting one together.
I love what you've done, man.
So as soon as we get this all documented so that people can use those documents to build one, it's done. It's open source. That's the flagship product.
You've done good for yourself.
Saved my life.
And you're going to be doing good for a lot of other people that need something like this.
5.5 million people in this country.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me.
Devin and I can pretend to be the star all day long, but Devin and I both know it's the technology that's the star.
He gets an LCD on his. You don't. Actually, I guess all you get is the Street Fighter Health Bar over here.
That's okay. I like it.
I like the Street Fighter Health Bar.
Yeah.
So what is this? That battery?
So this is an old HID that somebody else made. You notice the name on there?
Liberty. So we get a zoom on that.
It's the best HID I've ever used.
Liberty. I like that.
So this will always read full until the batteries are dead because this was designed for lead-acid batteries. And we're using lithium iron phosphate batteries, which takes this type of chair from an 8 to 10 hour charge to a 3-day charge.
That's a perfect mix because if you have lithium ion, lithium ion phosphate steams. Lithium ion, when it messes up, goes on fire, and lead acid is just not great capacity. So you have a perfect mix over there of getting more capacity and also not having to jump off this thing if it.
You know, we do tend to research down the line a little bit because we get kind of addicted to this technology, and we're waiting for miniature nuclear batteries. People are actually working on that.
Miniature nuclear batteries.
In 50 to 100 years, you'll be able to have a battery the size of a box of matches.
When you have a nuclear battery, you can have like a third switch on here for
Missiles? So check out what these guys are doing.
What is all this about?
So they're switching this chair, which I think you've seen it before, was set up for me like this one, right? But we want everybody to be able to try it over here at the obstacle course. And so it needs a seating system that has leg rests, because most people have legs. I think you've got legs, right?
Yeah.
New York didn't take them away from you?
Not
They
yet.
tried to take mine. No, really. They wrote down during an evaluation that I had feet, but no legs, and the ability to drive without assistive technology. So I guess New York State thought I had really long toes.
You're kidding me.
No, I'm not. It took 3 or 4 weeks to get them to remove the ability to drive from that.
Are you saying that
it took 4 years for New York State to recognize that I had legs?
Are you saying that their bureaucracy is not the best?
No, it's the worst. It kills people constantly.
So you're not saying that they have incompetent people in New York City and state government, are you?
It's pretty much the same. Actually, you can compare it to DC too.
Well, I love the exposed banana clips on there.
I
Not banana clips.
state that defunded welfare to fund the Buffalo Bills Stadium, which caused people with developmental disabilities to be housed with the criminally insane who weren't fit for trial.
When you were on this side, check
That happened in the last 2 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call you criminally insane unless you put a nuclear battery in this with a button. Though.
Say that again?
I'm not going to call you insane unless you put a nuclear battery on this with a button. Though.
Find me a nuclear battery that fits.
So one of the things you were talking about is your next project, which is going to be people working on a wheelchair for younger children.
I would hesitate to call it next because we've got several going on.
Okay, so firstly, can you describe for people who are not really aware of how this works, what is the landscape like if you're a kid and you need a wheelchair? Like if you're 4, 6, 8 years old?
So often enough, the number one factor for approval is they take a child who has never actually driven a wheelchair, put them in it, and see how well they drive it. And that's a pass-fail situation. And when people wonder, well, why is that bad? I tell them, well, did you learn to drive your car before you went for your license?
Yes.
Right? Because that's, you need training. So the goal of this project is twofold for me. One, we want to distribute the plans for training wheelchairs. I believe the nonprofits and even the providers that make their bread and butter is selling wheelchairs, right? Mm-hmm. They want to sell wheelchairs, right? I'm sure they'd love to sell more wheelchairs for more kids because it's business. And if we get them using it to train them, there it is.
What is the training scenario like now?
There's a training scenario?
Okay, so nothing.
Not that I can find.
So how does a 6-year-old drive a motorized wheelchair for the first time?
6?
Because I remember what it was like when I was driving.
I started when I was 4.
I remember driving a car for the first time, or an electric bike for the first time, and almost, that was an experience. I can only imagine if I started at 6.
Well, so
or 4.
When I was 4, I got my first wheelchair, and I was approved similar method. And the issue there is I don't like to be a braggart, but you might call it natural talent.
I do not have that. The first time I rode a bike, drove a car, I used an electric bike. It was likely worse.
Right. So the reality here is that kids need some time to practice. We ran into another nonprofit doing something similar, right?
Uh-huh.
They were taking a normal child's toy that you would ride in and putting the controls on it to train kids for their wheelchairs, right? But they only had 80 of them and they were out of stock, and that's not going to go far. So why not make an open source design that serves the same purpose? And so we've got 29 interns at Arizona State, 5 designs. And initially, we intend to spread the word of it by using them as training chairs. I hope I'm going in the right direction. I think
It's
I am.
pretty cool. You
Well,
really got a lot more going on now
right.
than you did a year ago.
Oh, a hell of a lot. So, training wheelchairs sounds nice, sounds great, right? Well, let's say the kid still gets denied because that's the nature of insurance. Well, then we have a nice, cheap, open source design. Why do we need to be approved for something else?
That's pretty cool. So, what is the testing like if you're a kid and you want to start using it? Like, what was the... You were saying because if they didn't have training, they wouldn't really do well with it. How does that work? Are you just not allowed to have one if you don't pass a test?
Essentially.
Who issues this test?
That would be a provider, a PT, an OT. It's another bureaucratic box-checking bullshit.
That doesn't sound like fun.
No, but it does sound like New York State, doesn't it?
It does sound like New York State. It's kind of nice downtown here.
Did I forget where the hell I'm going?
Oh, I had no idea where I'm going.
I know where I am.